Good afternoon. Welcome to Good Guy Sports. I'm Jackson Gerke, alongside for co-host Blake Weinberger. In on today's episode, we will talk about we'll talk about the recap of the Indy 500 and some and talk some NHL and Stanley Cup and NBA playoffs, including some um and we'll also talk about some whip around MLB scores. But before we get to all of that, we are going to start off with that I'm sure that everyone is talking about it and all that we got the news that Bill Walton has passed away on on this past Monday. He was about 71 years old, I think. He died with cancer and was one of the and was one of the greatest basketball players of all time of winning a championship um, uh, um, for both the Celtics and for the UCLA Bruins, who um, who was one of the who was a class act, was what was the lead of the Grateful Dead, and was one of the and was one of the greatest basketball players, and was part of the John Wooden dynasty when he won at UCLA back in the 70s, and won and has won the NBA title back in 1986 with the Celtics. So really, it was really a sad day for the sport of um, basketball, but there's always a lot there, but it's always great to look back on the recent history on of what he did as a player and what he's accomplished of himself as a human being, and from what and what from what he can what we can look back on for what the for one of the most for one of the most entertaining personalities, whatever he was whatever he was, a broadcaster or as a player, or doing a, or just making us laugh with all of us with all of our audience watching him on TV. He was all that, and I think Bill just really is really just that, and I think that he's really just one of the most storytelling and more personality kind of players you'll ever hang around with. And I'm not sure if there's more that I could add to, but I'm sure Blake Lumberger, if you have any favorite memories of Bill Walton, that if you can share with me and the audience, what are your favorite memories and all of the greatest of what he did as a broadcaster on ESPN, or as a player with by far one of the greatest basketball human beings that we've ever known, which there'll never be another Bill Walton. And I'm pretty sure, and I know that me and Bart Bacon and I watched it on an ESPN Plus series with Sue Bird of how he was great as a guest on that show. Has showed all the pictures of the Grateful Dead concerts and his memorabilia and all his championships and all his posters and all what he did for his broadcasting and his playing career and his personal life. And there's nothing quite like it. And I want to share your thoughts, guys, on Blake Weinberger and Mike Roby and the Blue Blakes of you and I on what he accomplished and what he did as a basketball player overall for in honor of Bill's death. And what are your thoughts on Bill's life and what he has accomplished?
Well, Jack, you had me at Grateful Dead. They've always been one of my favorite bands.
I mean, he's got to be one of the more well-known, like, celebrity Grateful Dead fans, right? I feel like that's one of the main things people remember him for, certainly in his post playing career, right?
Indeed, indeed. And his UCLA years, I think they went undefeated when he was at least the last 2 years when they won the national championship under John Wooten. I met John Wooten once, and when I was a kid, I went to basketball camp, and John Wooten was one of the coaches at the camp. Heck of a guy, really knew a whole lot about basketball, and it was a real privilege just to be on the same court with him. But yeah, Walton was definitely one of a kind.
Yeah, and I think obviously, I think people my age probably know him for his broadcasting career and like how much fun and energy he brought to some of those college games that he would call. But I know I never watched him play live, obviously, but I mean, looking from what everyone says and a lot of the highlights that you watch, it seems like he was a player that was definitely ahead of his time in a lot of ways. Playing in the 1970s as a big man, he was say one of the best passing big men of all time, and it's obviously not something maybe that that you saw too often back in the NBA in those days. Whereas now you've got a Nikola Jokic and got Karl Anthony Towns who's shooting threes. You got skilled big men all over the place, but I think a lot of people say he was kind of the first real skilled big man who could pass and wasn't just there to stand in the under the basket and grab rebounds.
Yeah, I think his career was kind of split in two halves by injury. The first part was with the Portland Trail Blazers, and then he got hurt, and then he went to the Celtics, I believe, as a more of a sixth man or a bench player. But
yeah,
he did well in that role as well.
Yeah, absolutely. A huge personality in basketball. It won't be a big loss, but it's great that everyone's able to share some great memories and stories of him.
And basketball was just something to do in between Grateful Dead concerts.
Exactly.
Blake Weinberger, do you have any favorite memories you'd like to share with us on Bill Walton's broadcaster and career legacy?
Jackson, I feel like I haven't cut a TV on in a week. This is actually news to me. I had no clue. I've been seeing him pop up in the news. I did not know he passed. But just echoing what everybody said, that he was that character that wore the crazy shirts, and he just lived life outside the box a little bit, even in his sports broadcasting career. So yeah, it's tough. That's a big loss. I love Mike and Blake's facts about him. Pretty cool. So sad to see, Jack.
All right. Well, it's great to have you back from your long extended Memorial Day Hawaii trip, Blake. It's always it's always great to be back with you as our co-host in our show. It's always great to be back with you on our show here on Good Guy Sports. Sounds like that you had a great time, and hope that you really enjoy your trip. And it's always great to be back in the saddle with us here on our here with us on Good Guy Sports.
Thanks, Jack.
All right, so let's turn now and move over to our next topic, which is the NBA Eastern Conference Finals, which is tonight, and nobody saw this coming and thought we were gonna have a sweep until for both the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, until Minnesota just had to change its plans and decided to do the opposite, which is to stave off elimination and force a Game 5 tonight in Minnesota. Thanks in large part to Karl Anthony Towns and Ant-Man, and among the next big three stepping it up to make big shots and just really show no quit. Show no quit on themselves, and just want to keep the series going, and just not want to. They just don't want to. They just don't want to pack their bags and go home just yet, and just
they don't want to go home.
Yeah, and they just want to just keep the season alive, and just want to just really want to keep this going, and not really want to go on vacation quite yet, and just want to just save the team, and just really just do your thing, and just somehow just keep doing your thing, and just really just trust and find your own way. And I think that, and I really think that Minnesota just did that. Is really just really believe in yourself and the group of guys they have, and
Yeah, I mean they played a good game forward to not avoid getting swept, but still, you know, the math is not in their favor. It's, you know, teams still owe 154 teams that have gone down 3-0 in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, Towns hitting the three pointers in the final 6 minutes of the game really helped the Timberwolves.
For sure. And he's somebody that came under a lot of criticism
Mhm.
for the first 3 games that they lost to Dallas. So yeah, I mean, Edwards is performing at a high level, although he was not performing particularly well in the first couple of games actually. So like in game 4, if Minnesota wants to have any chance of extending the series, they're going to need Edwards and Towns to repeat their performance in game 4.
Will Derek Lively play tonight?
It's a good question. I know they were.
I know he
mean,
worked out today with the team,
I
but
think
they
he's still
was
questionable from what I'm
with
seeing.
the neck injury that he had that kept him out of game 4.
Yeah, it looks like he's working out on the court and stuff like that. And obviously, I mean, I feel like they have the edge to go through here, so they want to be cautious with him and not lose him potentially in the NBA finals if they bring him back too early. So it is a fine line to play. But no, he's certainly, given some of the size that Minnesota has, he's definitely an important player for them, a rookie as well, which is pretty crazy, making an impact.
No, I think some of the unsung heroes for the Timberwolves had to be their bench with the early foul troubles that the starters were having.
Yeah.
You know, they came off the bench in the latter part of the first half and kept everything to a draw.
For sure. And I think at this point, it's just going to be them trying to, I mean, Minnesota's gotten to this point thanks to their defense, really. And they played good defense against the Mavs, holding them to only 100 points in game 4. But I just find it difficult to think they're going to be able to contain Luka and Kyrie for 3 more games, and let alone tonight or potential game 6 in Dallas. But they do have home court advantage. Hasn't really helped them thus far, you know, like they lost the first 2 in Minnesota. I'm pretty sure they lost the games 3 and 4 at home the previous round against Denver. So maybe home court is a bit overrated, similar to hockey, where we think home ice maybe doesn't play as much of an influence nowadays as we think. But it's obviously, if you had to choose, you'd rather be at home for this game. So that definitely benefits Minnesota here in game 5. But I still don't think this is going to go 7. I think if Minnesota scrapes a win tonight, I think Dallas will close them out at home in game 6 personally. If I had to bet on it, I probably would pick Dallas tonight, just because I think Luka and Kyrie, keeping them quiet for 2 straight games, just hasn't happened this far in the playoffs. So
that would be tough thing for the Wolves to do.
Yeah, I mean, and ultimately it was the fact that Dallas went up 3-0 was maybe a bit fluky anyway. Like these 2 teams are pretty evenly matched, so a sweep wouldn't really have been a fair reflection of the quality of these 2 teams, in my opinion. So I think a 5 or 6 game series makes a bit more sense on paper when you look at the 2 starting lineups.
Which team do you think matches up best with the Celtics?
It's a good question. Yeah, obviously Boston, they basically can go on a mini vacation before the finals because they took care of business in Indiana, obviously, very quickly. Weirdly, I feel like if I flip it the other way around, I feel like Boston has has really good defenders to put on to Luka and Kyrie, where I feel like They've got Drew Holiday. They've got Tatum and Brown both play really good defense. Derek White can play good defense. So I feel like they've got a lot of matchups they can throw at Dallas, at Luka and Kyrie. I mean, whether or not can you really guard Luka? Like nobody can really guard Luka, as Minnesota's finding out in the first couple of games. But I don't think Boston is going to be particularly. I mean, they're going to back themselves obviously because they've only lost 2 games this entire playoff so far. But from a matchup perspective, they feel like they have the guys options to throw at Luka and Kyrie for the individual matchups, and because that's really been how Dallas is succeeding in the playoffs right now is they're keeping games close, and then when it comes to fourth quarter time, Luka and Kyrie just do their thing and they turn into fourth quarter assassins, and every possession they're executing, and they're out executing teams in that last stretch of the game, the most important stretch of the game. So I feel like we saw Drew Holiday play really good defense against Indiana, the likes of Halliburton and stuff in the previous round. So they'll feel like if Drew Holiday can play good defense on Kyrie, and if Tatum and Brown in particular is having a great postseason, and he's probably an underrated defender, I think, in my opinion. So maybe you'll see a Jaylen Brown versus Luka matchup, which will be a fun one to keep an eye on. So, but to answer your question, I think Boston feels like they've got the defenders to throw at either team, to be fair.
Well, they certainly in game four against the Pacers, they last 3.5 minutes of the game, Pacers scored 0. So
right,
and then Holiday, you look back last summer when they traded for him, that was a pretty good trade.
Yeah, and I think it was a smart trade, and I think the situation that he was walking into was perfect for someone like him, where they're not really going to ask him to carry the load offensively. They're really looking for him to do what he does best, which is be a defensive specialist, and just kind of be a pest in that backcourt. So
I would say, probably the Achilles heel for the Celtics might be their bench.
Yeah, and certainly the health of Porzingis is certainly going to play a factor in a finals matchup as well, right?
Yeah, but whoever they play, it's going to be either the Mavericks or the Timberwolves. It should be a good final.
Yeah, no, Dallas Boston is a really fun series. I think they're two teams with really good players and exciting players, good home crowds, good uniforms, good history there. So I think the NBA is looking like they're due for a really good finals here.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jack? Do you like that matchup, Boston Dallas?
I do, but I'm not saying it's going to. I do. It will be a great matchup for It would be a great matchup for many nationally across the country. It would definitely drive up and stack up the TV audience because of how great of, like you said, for this matchup. I do agree, because what it would do is that it would actually stack up TV ratings like double. It would stack up by pretty much by far the other professional the other pro sports championship or other sports championship out there combined. Mine overall in history. So I do think it's up there, and yeah, I agree. I do think it'll be the most watched sporting event if that's the case. And to your point, Blake, about that, if that would be a great matchup to watch, yes, I do think it is. But on the flip side, for the Timberwolves, if they force a game 7 and and advance to the NBA Finals because of what they did to the Denver Nuggets in the last round. Well, they've been there before in the last round, and they know what it's like. Even though they're going up against a Kyrie and Luka, 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 Luka time dominant dominant high scoring Mavericks team, but yeah, but if Ant-Man and Anthony Edwards and those guys can like somehow find a way to tie the series up, force a game 7, and maybe go to the NBA Finals, then who knows? Maybe they can be the next Michael Jordan, or just and if they take one game at a time and just then do what they did in the last game, and let's say if one of the other not named Kyrie or Ivory Irving, just one of their players that we talked about in the early show is not ready. Let's see if he's warmed up, not ready to suit up for the game tonight or going forward. Then I do think the Timberwolves do have a chance to maybe go to the NBA Finals if they find a way to win. But to answer your question about a Mavs Celtics finals, if it would be the most televised watch that everybody wants to see, yes, I do think it'll be a great matchup for many of our sports for many of our sports audience to watch.
What's our next topic,
All right,
Jack?
Blake. All right, Blake. Let's move on now and talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs, which are all, believe it or not, are all tied a game
Also involving
apiece
Dallas.
with
Yeah.
the Oilers and Dallas.
It's
They're all tied up 2 games apiece.
NHL best of 3.
And then in the Eastern Conference we also have a tied series, 2 games apiece, piece between the Panthers and the Rangers. Coming off the last game with the Rangers, unlike what they did in the overtime thriller on Sunday, the day before Memorial Day, where they were down 2-0 early in the game, and somehow they tied it up, went into overtime, and the Rangers somehow won that one. But we fast forward to the next game, which I believe we're in which I believe that we are in game 4, where the Rangers and Panthers just went back and forth like they did in the last game, which also went to overtime. Only this time it it went into the hands of of the Florida Panthers, which is now set up for a deciding game 5 between the Panthers and the Rangers. With switching series now, venues up at Madison Square Garden tonight on ESPN at 5:30.
Yeah, the last 3 games all went into overtime. Game 2, game 3, and game 4 all went into overtime. Talk about evenly matched teams.
Yeah, I mean, this series is starting to be a real slugfest, so it looks like it's going to go 7 games. I think I said before this series started that I thought Florida was going to win, possibly even in 5 or 6 games, and I'm definitely been incorrect so far. I think Florida has been the better team, but the Rangers haven't given up, and they've obviously these games have been super close, so they've been keeping themselves alive. And if you're getting into overtime and you've got a chance, and they've really been capitalizing here on some of the mistakes.
Yeah, the Rangers' top 3 scorers in the regular season have not scored a goal in this particular series against the Panthers.
Yeah, it's been an interesting series, an interesting postseason, maybe you would say, from a Rangers perspective. And if these games are going to keep going this close, and we're gonna have overtime after overtime, then I mean, who say New York can't do something here? Just whenever I watch Florida, they're physical and fast, and they seem like a really tough team to beat, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I'm still gonna pick Florida, but I mean, the way the series has gone so far, I mean, anything could happen, really.
Yeah. Well, at least the Rangers goalkeep is playing well, but those other guys. I guess it says something about the Panthers' ability to defend.
Yeah, for sure.
And the one other point I like to make is that the Rangers, well they they had a winning record in overtime until last night, where that streak had snapped. That dates back to the last round against your Carolina Hurricanes, Brother Blake, which I feel like in that series, even though it's the past, but
I mean, you
the
keep bringing it up, though.
The Rangers just had a just were unbeaten previously in their last few games in overtime until last night, where the Panthers just snapped it from them. And and the Panthers, unlike the Hurricanes, are a more physical and more talented perspective team than Carolina is. And I think that, especially with their goaltender, and I do think you make a great point, Blake, of how dangerous and how sneaky this team can be at times with Paul Berschbeck, and what this group of guys has done over the last few runs of this few years of this playoff run. It's really remarkable, and I think that if they keep this going, they would just they're just going to probably be tough to beat, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think Florida was a team built for the postseason, and we're seeing that now, where they really kept themselves competitive and building up to this point in the playoffs. And obviously, the Rangers are a highly competitive team. They had the most points in the Eastern Conference, so wouldn't be a huge surprise if they end up making the Cup final the way they played. I feel like they've had to sweat it out a bit more maybe this postseason, but maybe that's just down to matchups. So honestly, I'm probably leaning Florida in 7 at this point, but I don't feel great about it. What about the other matchup, Jack? The Dallas Edmonton, right?
Yeah, Edmonton and Dallas are all tied up 2 games apiece now, as I last checked.
It's classic hockey where the margins are thin, huh?
Yeah, they played tomorrow night in Dallas.
They do.
Yes,
they do.
Correct. Yeah.
And the winner of this one, when tied 2 games apiece, goes on to win the series 88% of the time. So that just says a lot for what should be set up to be a deciding.
So tonight and tomorrow night are going to be huge games. I think you're right. I think game 5, particularly when whenever the series is knotted at 2 apiece, that game 5 is crucial. So we're gonna get a much better indication about what our Cup final could look like after tomorrow night.
Which should be very fascinating for what Game 5 has in store for us, which is yet to be determined, with the pendulum swinging back and forth. It's going to really determine who's going to be on top of the series first thing tomorrow night, and that should be and that should give us an idea on who will be the more projected team that will make it to the final, which is yet to be determined on what to respect, on what those both teams just have in store for what that can give to us, which should be very exciting for what the sport has to give.
Yeah, good. Hey, Jack, before we leave hockey, I wanted to give a shout out to the Hershey Bears, who are in the Eastern Conference Finals of the American Hockey League. They played tonight. They played the Cleveland Monsters who are the minor league affiliate to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Hershey Bears, of course, being the minor league affiliate to my all Capitals.
Is that Hershey, Pennsylvania?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
And where do they make the chocolate?
Do they wear brown jerseys?
They were in a bear on it.
Do they smell like chocolate?
They smell like the whole town smelled like chocolate.
Yeah, I've never been to the oh yeah, I'm just looking up their yeah, that's a pretty cool logo actually, the Hershey Bears.
Yeah. Hey Blake, Charlotte's got a minor league team in the American Hockey League.
Charlotte Checkers, baby.
Yeah,
the
man.
Checkers.
Yeah, they are the affiliate to the Florida Panthers.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I wonder if they are the checkers for checkered flag and racing in North Carolina with the 600 this weekend.
Maybe it's like a double entendre where it's a checkered flag and also checking into the boards as well.
Oh,
I'm assuming.
Could be.
Well,
Or
meaning
fun
there.
games.
Or there's a fast food restaurant up here called Checkers.
There you go.
A good restaurant too.
That's probably ranked third though, if I had to guess. Sorry, Checkers. I forgot about Checkers. Yeah, I haven't been Checkers in a while.
I'm sure everybody around here and I'm sure everybody around here in these parts has heard about it, which has heard about it since we know since we know how it was first founded and what it tastes like.
Yeah.
Oh, you know it, Jackson.
Yeah.
You and me both.
So, Mike, each hockey team, it's like baseball. Is that how it works? We're like you're an affiliate.
They have a minor league, and that's where they put their draft.
And do they play at the same time? Do they play at different times?
They play pretty much the same season.
Same season
as when the NHL plays. So
and they can pull players back and forth if need be.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, Jack, I forgot to mention also when we were talking about basketball that the WNBA is expanding into Canada. Toronto has a team now that's going to start in the 2026 season in the WNBA. They'll be the 14th team with the Golden State starting in 2025.
I saw that as well. Yeah, the WNBA has been doing really well recently, so it makes sense to expand into some large cities like that.
Yeah. So good for them.
And speaking of WNBA, not the kind of season Caitlin Clark was expected. As the Fever, we're just not off to a great start, and they're currently in a losing record right now, and
yeah, they're not as bad as the Mystics, who are 0-7.
Yeah, well, there you go. At least
so Washington
at least they're not
wins
the only
again.
At least. Well, if you're Caitlin Clark, at least you're not the only team out there that has a losing record. Then yeah, you're not alone. So yeah, I do think the Fever is just a rebuilding. They're a rebuilding mode right now, and just Caitlin Clark just shooting has just kind of been up and down so far, but I'm sure in the future she'll find a way to get addressed, and maybe and she's learning, and I think that she'll find a way to get it addressed and get it all taken care of with her shooting percentage for what she does going for the next few years or going forward for the future. I think she'll I think she'll adjust and find a way to get it done, and I think that she will be just fine going forward for what she for what she can do as a player perspective.
Jack, have you heard anything about the new women's 3-on-3 basketball league that's supposed to start up in this coming January?
No, I haven't heard anything about it. What can we
They're supposed to have a draft over the summer, and start picking, players for teams, I think there's going to be maybe 8 teams. They're all going to be playing in Miami, but it's going to be a new league, a 3-on-3, just kind of capitalize on the fast pace of some of the, the women's basketball. But
yeah, I think it was. I know a lot of the women's players would go play overseas during the off season because the WNBA salaries were not particularly great back in the day. And so I think they're adding. I think the WNBA made it harder. They restricted some players from playing overseas now, so they thought of this now that obviously there's so many great stars in WNBA right now. We can maybe during the offseason start up like a 3-on-3 competitive league, which makes a lot of sense in my opinion. And it sounds like they've got some good investors behind the deal. So yeah, it looks like a pretty cool idea to me.
Yeah, I think so. It'd be very interesting.
Yeah, I wish more sports would do stuff like this, where obviously like the players aren't as incentivized in other sports to.
Didn't they put a 3-on-3 in the Olympics?
3-on-3 will be in the Olympics. That's right. Yeah, I don't think there's many recognizable American basketball or NBA players.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has been added, so that's 3-on-3 could be increasing in popularity.
Yeah. No, it was interesting when I was at sports camp. I mentioned earlier that John Wooten was there. One of the things he was stressing at that I can remember was the concept of triangles, and it was always in threes, and any part of the court there was always you and 2 other players as a triangle, and he was stressing that to us kids as we were playing, and now you got the 3-on-3. So anyway, I just thought I would.
Yeah, triangle offense obviously popularized by Phil Jackson in the NBA, and 3-on-3 kind of simplified version of that is creating space, finding your teammates. So I've always enjoyed watching 3-on-3. So maybe if they're able to increase the popularity, you might see some more stars pop in. Maybe you get like a celebrity division as well, where you got people from other sports playing and all that good stuff. So
yeah.
I'm pretty sure they didn't. I'm pretty sure, not to get too off topic on it, but I think Ice Cube started a 3-on-3 league with retired former players, the Big Three. You guys remember that? Where it was like ex NBA players that were playing 3-on-3.
Yeah, because Blake, remember he offered Caitlin Clark, whether it was true or not, he offered $3 or $5 million to come play in that league against the guys.
Yeah.
So that's how he kind of made a splash with it. You're right.
So it's still going. I don't know if it's particularly been as successful maybe as they would have liked, but this is kind of maybe taking that sort of idea of starting a company based on a 3-on-3 circuit. And for the women's game, maybe it makes more sense given some of the gaps in their schedules and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely want to keep an eye on.
All right,
next
so
topic, Jack.
So let's turn now and recap from what was so the Panthers Florida game was on Sunday, which was also a great sports day because obviously involved with the NBA and NHL on the Memorial Day weekend, but also happening on the same day was the result of the Indianapolis 500, won by back-to-back champion Joseph Newgarden, who is repeated as champion since Hello Castilleros did it back in the 2001-2002 2 season years, and that's just how it all went with how the race finished. It was a really so I was watching it on Sunday on my couch in the family room the entire race, and one thing I noticed is that the different drivers were just going back and forth, changing battle for the lead, just going back and forth. Each driver just making its turn, twists and turns, so many twists and turns, so much drama and back and forth action, and until the very end, where just Newgarden just somehow snuck at the very end and got right at on the final lap, and he just retook the lead on what it looked to be the final turn of the lap, and end up winning the race at the checkered flag back to back years. And he just went up in his car and celebrated and did the crowd like he did last year. And it was just really remarkable to watch. And now it's interesting because the race got delayed in a weather delay. Was supposed to start in the early afternoon, but it was pushed back to like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And that actually and that just happened to and what's interesting about it is that the race had to finish up at 8:15 because of like darkness due to local laws up there up in Indiana. So that's just because they can't really race under the lights up there, just due to safety reasons. And that's how the race really went. But my other big storyline prior to the race is you had Kyle Larson, who did the double. He did where he was supposed to do the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 on the same day, which I had, which leads me to some questions on, with the race being delayed till late in the afternoon, and had to do the Coca-Cola 600 on the same day, which I feel like if I were within Larson's case, I feel like just he had a tough decision to make, just really one of those decisions, what he had to come down to with the family he was with on race day. And it turned out that the race got finished a little bit prior. I say at around 7 something, like 7:20, right before sunset. And then what Larson did is he ended up flying from from the Indy 500 from Indianapolis all the way, and he got a police escort from a limousine, and he went, and then he took a helicopter down to Charlotte Motor Speedway on like later that evening, and then somehow he got in, but then the race just got delayed because that same weather cell just went from one race to the other down in Charlotte, and it was like raining and pouring, and then the race was called and determined, and it was determined a winner on that night, and then Kyle Larson was just like backed up in the row, and just and it turns out that Christopher Bell ended up winning the race that night, and they got some laps in. The race ended up being shortened, and there was not a possibility that they could not to sound like Parker Johnson here, but NASCAR had a decision, but the decision that it would be best to not run the race till like 4 o'clock in the morning. So it would just be it was just not the right decision, and not very smart by NASCAR to do this. But it was just not smart, and not the right way for fans to stay up late to watch it. Whether to watch it as a fan, that's what they end up doing, and shorten the race up in Charlotte. And BL Weinberger, you didn't miss much because you were out vacationing in Hawaii, but I'm sure any of your friends were at that race. But I know you were. But like I said, like prior show earlier, that I know you didn't tune in TV while you were in Hawaii, but I'm sure your friends or your buddies were at this race, or if they were, probably are, because I know you were at, because Blake Weinberger, I know you were there at the track not long ago, but I'm pretty sure
I did do a lap on that track, Jackson. You are right in the Tesla.
Yeah, BL Weinberger, I'm pretty sure you didn't miss much for that race. For what it came down to, you didn't really miss much.
Well, but Jackson, how about that Indy 500 finish? I saw the last lap of that, and the guy was trying to hold him off as bad as he could, and that was a fantastic finish for the Indy 500. Yeah, it sounds like Charlotte had a bit of a weather problem, but man, how cool was that finish in the Indy 500? And the guy's back-to-back years now, so super cool. And Indy 500, awesome. By the way, is interesting because they're like the senior PGA, so they get some of the retired F1 drivers will come over here and race in the Indy and the Indy 500. So that's pretty cool. It's kind of interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have a lot to say for what the future is for like Formula E or Formula One drivers. I mean, you had the Marco Grand Prix, for the Formula One side, you had the Marco Grand Prix earlier that morning, leading up to, the Gold Coast 600 that, which was shortened, later that night. So yeah, I'm pretty sure the Formula One and their Formula E drivers will just, retired people will have a lot to say for the sport going forward for the future. Yeah, I do think they'll have a lot
Wait,
to be
Jackson,
looking forward
speaking of
to for the
retired people,
sport.
do we have one on the show?
Oh
Do we
yeah.
have?
I've been retired for a year now.
Mike looks like he's living his best dream. I love it.
He's going to
Jackson
the
sends
Indy
me all the
500
pictures of the
circuit
baseball
soon.
games.
Oh yeah. I get to go swimming and everything. So I went swimming this morning and loving life. Lost 15 pounds. Yeah.
You'll be at the Indy
Now, where
500
do you
in no
swim,
time.
Mike? You swim open water, or you go to a local pool?
We've got a community pool. It's actually all year pool because it's an indoor pool.
Okay.
So I got in there. I did 90 laps this morning.
Now, are you a 4-4 or are you a 3-3 guy with the breathing?
Uh
Are you three strokes and look over and they
no,
go three and then
I breathe on every stroke.
okay.
I like breathing.
Yeah, breathing's great. Breathing is great.
Breathing is a wonderful thing. But yeah,
Mike, it sounds like you're built for Hawaii. I think you need to go ahead and
yeah.
move down there.
Yeah,
Those guys swim.
I do freestyle and then I do breaststroke on the way back. So
Nice.
I alternate the two.
Man, in Hawaii, there
Yeah.
were people that go swim in the bay every day. Just walk
Yeah.
out, jump in the bay, flat, calm, jetty
Yeah.
protected, and just go for a swim.
Yeah. I've swam so far this week 3.7 miles.
Are we talking about we got a little triathlon coming up soon? Is that what we're kind of teasing out here?
Now well, my goal is to do 100 laps.
Jeez, that's incredible. That's incredible. Jackson, I remember at South Carolina, we used to go to the pool. You would love to go for a little swim, right?
That's right. I would go with one of my Carolina Life friends, with one of my I believe one of my Carolina Life staff people, professors, teachers, I guess that you would call them. They would take me there to the pool for like some practice and some skills, swimming in the pool, and different working on those different strokes and swimming skills. On each practice on each skill, and they would just teach me a lot. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot since then, and I think they really I think they really they think they really teach me for being more grown up
Yeah.
than ever before. So I do think that
To
they
catch the
have.
rocket. You got to catch the rocket in the pool in Florida. Remember we played that game too.
Oh yeah, those are the
But
best.
how's Winnie? Is Winnie still being a good lifeguard? Is she still protecting everybody in the pool by jumping on them and hugging them?
She
I don't.
doesn't like swimming, no.
Ooh, oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay,
we taught her how to swim, and then she likes going to the beach, but she doesn't like the water. So go
best dog
figure.
ever.
She's more sand over water, I guess.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Good for Winnie.
What's our next topic, Jack?
All right, let's move over and talk some baseball.
Do we have to?
Yes, we're going to. We're going to. So the first one I want to. So the first one I actually want to talk about is those New York Mets. Tell me what's going on with the New York Mets. The
Oh,
highest payroll.
they're just imploding.
Yeah, well, I can tell you what's what's actually wrong with the New York Mets. They have the highest payroll of baseball. They have traded away their pitching, and their bullpen is terrible.
And they just kicked Lopez off the team.
Yeah, the kick Lopez is Lopez is off the team. Yeah. Yeah, Lopez is off the team. And
Oh, that's
and
crazy. Actually,
yeah, and the
I didn't
Dodgers
realize
just
they
like,
still had the biggest payroll in the league.
oh, they do. They do. And the
I thought
Dodgers
they
just,
got rid of salary.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 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 their game got rained out because of the weather delay up there, up in the Northeast, especially up in Queens where they play. But yeah, it was a doubleheader, and the Dodgers just like won them all, and yeah, everything is just going backwards for them. It looks like, and yeah, those
Those
yeah
amazing Mets.
they trade all their players from the trade deadline, and can't even and to me it just looked like they can't even get anything figured out. They had like a team meeting, and yeah, everything is just everything with this team is just going like everything his team is just look like it's just going backwards to me. They just can't even get over the hump, and just yeah it, they're just a mess. They're just a mess, and they just can't even figure anything out and get anything right. And they're just it's just going to be it's just a downhill for me.
Yeah.
It's fine by
The
me.
way I look at it.
And meanwhile, their crosstown team, the Yankees, are getting red hot in May. As a team, the Yankees lead the major leagues in pitching with a team 2.76 ERA, and the Yankees as a team leads the majors in hitting. And the pitching going back there, that's without Garrett Cole, last year's Cy Young Award winner. Judge is finally getting out of his April slump and just beating the cover off the ball. And Soto is having a tremendous year for the Yanks. But I think the Yanks better do it this year because they're going to run into big salary issues.
Last dance situation here.
Yeah, I mean, they can't pay everybody nine, or maybe they can pay everybody nine-figure salaries.
I mean, yeah, I think that's kind of the model, I think, to be honest, is if you're a team that's in contention, is taking on trading for whether it's like a 1 year left of a contract situation like Soto that someone's trying to dump, or it's like a trade deadline acquisition. I'm sure the Braves probably have to do some of that given their injuries, looking for options, looking for a hot bat off the market from a team that thought they were going to be better than they are, kind of scenario. So I mean, the timing could be right for them this year.
I wonder if the Mets are going to dump Alonso.
There certainly would be a lot of suiters for him if they do.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I have anything else to add, but yeah,
I don't know. Would the Yankees take him, you think?
Who's their first baseman? They still have Rizzo as but this is the last year for Rizzo. Unless the Yankees give him a big contract.
Yeah, I wonder if he'd jump ship across to the Bronx. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Guys, got a question in baseball. Jack, you might know, but with athletics moving into a AAA stadium and AAA playing at the same time MLB plays, and they do these crazy 6-game stretches, how would the scheduling all work out when they plan on moving there next year and playing simultaneously as the AAA team?
it's going to be very, very interesting the way that this team turns out and how it's going to be processing in this transition. But to answer to your question, Blake, I think that the Athletics, with the team going forward to the AAA Sacramento, to be exact, they're probably going to be looking like probably going to be looking like a total rebuild and just trying to get the team right. During this transition, going to be in a new familiar place compared to Oakland over the last over the last decades there. So I think that
Yeah.
the team is just going to have a lot just going to have a lot to learn with the new faces and learn the area and getting to know the vibe and the feel of the ballpark and in the area. So it's going to be very new and different, but the stuff and the team and the roster and the organization remains the same despite all that. But I think they'll find a way to get it figured out.
If scheduling conflict, the AAA team will play in the parking lot.
They're gonna play
Let
wiffle
me
ball
They'll play wiffle ball.
on the
let
Pee
me
Wee
ask you
fields.
guys this: Can we foresee if I'm the AAA team? I'm thinking, hey guys, if you're better than us, let's play. You know, let's do a little friendly. When we got an off day, let's do a little friendly in the
Winner
park.
gets to keep the park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little AAA
It's
versus
like
the
a Sandlot
as a
situation.
fan,
It sounds
I would
like
love to see that.
it sounds like the Red Sox spring training. At the beginning of spring training, they'll play a college team.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
How bad did they beat them? They beat the brakes off of them.
Yeah, pretty much. But getting back to the A's are fourth best hitting team in baseball right now. They're not
They're not as bad as everyone thought.
they're not
I mean, they're
completely
not.
terrible.
The Angels are worse. So
Yeah.
in that division, anyway. Yeah.
But yeah, like I said earlier, the Mets are not going to make the postseason,
Mhm.
or the playoffs. Where I said earlier for this talk before I move on it it was supposed to be a rebuilding year for the future of this team. Instead, where I thought those plans were going to be in place, except this team is just turned to be a disaster. Trading all the right players going to be a total rebuild. It's just a not very promising from their fans from what I'm hearing. But
So what's going on?
yeah.
What are we? I want to ask Mike what
But yeah, the Mets are not
what should
not
we
going to be
do to what are we gonna have to do to replace
playoffs.
Ronald? Because we're gonna be in trouble without him if we want to keep pace in the National League.
Yeah.
Have to make some moves at the deadline now.
Yeah. I think y'all just signed another outfielder. He's now in AAA. I forgot who it was, but he was recently released from another team. But yeah, I mean that's going to be a hard thing to do. Victor Robles is on the market. You can pick him up.
There you go. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to wait until the deadline and see if some of the teams that are well out of playoff contention.
Well, and you're gonna have to, I mean, hope that the Braves are still in playoff contention. That's not
We're
a
four games
up in
the wild card right now.
Yeah.
Some of the teams to look out for would be San Francisco. I mean, but 3 teams make the wild card now, right? I'm not making that up. So
no, yeah.
So I find it unlikely we'd fall completely out of the wild card.
Yeah.
But yeah, San Francisco, San Diego, St. Louis, and Chicago kind of all within that. But I think we've definitely got a better roster than all those teams. So I think we'll make the playoffs at the very least.
Well, you can't have Lane Thomas.
Okay, noted. I'll tell that to Alex, and we'll pass that note along.
Rosario might come back.
I mean, I love Eddie.
He's playing well right now. I'm just kind of joking because I'm most familiar with the Nationals. The Nationals have got a couple outfielders still stuck in AAA that it could easily bring up.
Yeah,
you know, we've got a good depth in outfielders right now.
There's always going to be somebody that we can make offers to, and I don't know how many. You know, we don't want to give away too many prospects just chasing, but the
Well,
way
the
this team
Bra-
has been assembled right now is to
Yeah.
win, right now. So
Yeah, but the Braves always had have always had one of the best farm systems. I couldn't imagine that you don't have a solid outfielder in AAA right now that could come up and be an everyday player.
yeah, no, it's true. And it's the organization's made good decisions up to this
Yeah.
point. So
And remember, the last time Acuna was hurt
World
was the
Series champs.
last time the Braves won the World Series.
It's some sort of weird scenario where the MVP is is some sort of jinx for us. But I guess baseball is a weird sport, so you never really know, do you?
No, you never know.
And to follow that up, Mike, look
Uh-huh.
look at what your Nationals did back in 2019 when they didn't have Bryce Harper. They also went on to win the World Series. So
Yep. And
yes,
we
your
did,
star
and
player
we did
does,
not win,
yes,
and we did not win the division that year.
well, that's a great point too. And sometimes, yes, your team didn't win the division, or and was your star player, but sometimes those surprise wild card teams and the unexpected, the ones who don't win the division, sometimes can make it this far.
Yeah.
Like the Arizona Diamondbacks did just that, except they didn't win it all. But the Rangers were also in that same competition too. But the Nationals, yeah, they were on a great playoff run that year, and yes,
Yeah, I mean, some would say in the current playoff system, it's better to be a wild card team and work your way up, become a hot team in the last month of the season.
Yeah,
so.
that's just like in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's gotten to that same place. All you got to do is get in.
Yeah,
It's
you see how I'm
completely
already,
different season. It's a
I'm already
completely
rationalizing
different.
everything, saying, yeah, the wild card's better, man. What are you talking about?
It's a completely different. That's
Division
all you
champ,
need to
overrated.
do. You is to get in. A postseason's different animal.
Fair enough.
sometimes weird stuff just happens. That's just how it goes sometimes in the sports
Yeah.
world that we're just going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
That's sports. That's
All
sports.
right.
All right.
Any last minute words, Jack?
Well, the one thing I would like to say is welcome back, BL Weinberger, from your trip to Hawaii. I wanted to ask you, how was your trip, and anything to take away that you enjoyed, and seeing all the pictures that you share with me on social media, on your Instagram, on your text you send me. Tell us all about it, and how was it?
Well, Jack, it's just like Mike said. I think we can push ourselves physically a little harder than we think. Did some cool hikes, some 10-mile hikes that got a little hairy, but we did it. And that place is heaven on earth. And I didn't do the trip without sports. I went and checked out the Hawaii University's baseball field, softball field, and beach volleyball. And property is at a premium, so they have to put 2 beach volleyball courts on the right side of the end zone, right outside the track. They have to stop. Imagine this: they stop football stadium seating so they can put in 2 beach volleyball courts, but they need 3. So then they go across the end zone on the other side and put in 1 beach volleyball court on the other end zone. So if you're a coach and you got a match playing, you got to walk across the football field to go coach your players. So Hawaii's just built different. They love baseball down there. You'll see a batting cage in the back of a lot of people's houses. So there must be a big baseball state. Cool stadium, old baseball stadium, but big, and just the backgrounds are unreal. So I can't get enough of Hawaii. Aloha, Jack.
Aloha,
And don't forget to
Blake.
throw the shaka every now and then.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you enjoyed your trip. I'm glad you're back. We are happy for you to be with us in Good Guy Sports. Like I said, always ready to be part of the program. And I've never been to Hawaii before, but who knows? Maybe our family, but who knows? Maybe our family can change our plans and make our trip out there one of these days. You never know. That's all that I can say to that.
You would love it, Jack.
Yes, it would be it would be nice.
All right, Jack. Let's get out of here.
All right, Blake.
See you guys.
Bye.
You can close this out, Jack.
All right. See ya.